Let's start with the facts. Regardless of whether you think Q is real or nothing but a LARP, Q Post 2494 on November 20th must certainly strike fear in the hearts of the Clintons and their criminal cabal cohorts. December 5, D5. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing. And Q links to this article from The Hill, House GOP to hold hearing into the DOJ's probe of the Clinton Foundation.
Well, we believe that it's time to circle back. Actually, Mr. Huber with the Department of Justice and FBI has been having an investigation, or at least part of his task was to look at the Clinton Foundation. We're just now starting to work with a couple of whistleblowers that would indicate that there is a great probability of significant improper activity that's happening in and around the Clinton Foundation.
That was Representative Mark Meadows, the chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Subcommittee. Witnesses at the December 5th hearing will also include U.S. Prosecuting Attorney John Huber, who was appointed by former Attorney General Jeff Sessions to investigate the Clinton Foundation. Hillary and Bill must really be feeling the heat now, as the donations to their criminal foundation have dried up almost entirely, as has the support of their liberal base that once worshipped them. According to the American Mirror, Bill and Hillary Clinton's 13-city U.S. tour has been canceled due to poor sales. Just look at the sea of blue seats, an empty sea of tickets that are still available for their December 4th appearance in Sugar Land, Texas. And by the way, this entire tour really embodies who these anti-American traitors are. They wanted to sell tickets to their minions to hear them speak. Meanwhile, President Trump fills arenas while never asking for a single penny. And while New World Order puppet Angela Merkel demands that nations must be ready to give up sovereignty, patriotic nationalists in the UK demand Brexit, and on Saturday voiced their support for our nationalist president by the thousands.
We love Trump! Mr. President, if you are seeing this, just know that the great deplorables of the United Kingdom love you, we are with you, we stand with you, and we want you to succeed. Forget about the people in London, forget about the establishment, forget about the detractors in the fake news media. The real people out there in the United Kingdom, we love you, Mr. President!
Quite literally, the entire Rothschild-Rockefeller New World Order, one world government narrative is being rejected, wholly and totally rejected by people in nations throughout the EU. And despite French President Emmanuel Macron's best efforts to decry patriotism and nationalism,
because patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism. Nationalism is its betrayal.
the former Rothschild banker who was hailed as a political outsider by French and British mainstream media during the election, has seen his approval rating plummet to all-time lows, below 20%, as thinking people begin to recognize that open borders and totalitarian rule by unelected oligarchs in Brussels may not be in their best interests. And even Rothschild puppet Hillary Clinton, who once gushed that she was blessed to have a man like George Soros in her camp.
We have been given an extraordinary blessing, and at this moment in time, our country needs us. And we need people like George Soros, who is fearless and willing to step up when it counts. So please join me in welcoming George Soros.
Even Hillary recognizes that the open borders, endless immigration agenda in Germany and France is destroying the one world government plan for total control because it's causing people to wake up. Clinton, who would have implemented the exact same policies as Merkel and Macron, now makes the confusing, conflicted plea that Europe must get a handle on migration in order to, get this, thwart populism and to stop right-wing nationalism. You can't make this stuff up. Hillary Clinton, Angela Merkel, and Emmanuel Macron are treacherous globalists who serve the banking elite who seek a one-world totalitarian satanic government where every single person on Earth is chipped, tracked, taxed, and reduced to a human resource, a serf fully owned by the satanic elite. You see, We are winning. The Rothschild, Soros, Clinton, New World Order mafia is on notice. They are losing the war for the hearts and minds of the people. Hashtag nationalism. Brexit. Where we go one, we go all. People are waking up in droves to the New World Order agenda to destroy their nation states and sovereignty. And an awake and active, intelligent citizenry is what the New World Order globalists fear the most. Maybe it's comments like this one that have Brits in the streets cheering their support for President Trump.
I'm proud of this country, and I call that nationalism. I call it being a nationalist, and I don't see any other connotation than that. Now, as soon as you make any statement nowadays with the political correctness world, they make a big deal. I'm not a globalist, but I want to take care of the globe. But first, I have to take care of our country. I want to help people around the world, but we have to take care of our country, or we won't have a country, including we have to take care of our country at the border.
In other news, we're hearing that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange may be extradited to the United States and prosecuted. Some have made the case that Assange is already in the United States. He faces a court hearing on Tuesday in the National Security Complex in Alexandria, Virginia, and his lawyers are being blocked from entering the Ecuadorian embassy to meet and prepare with him, according to a tweet by the official WikiLeaks Twitter account. But some, like George Webb, argue that Assange is already in the United States. And others, like Joe Messapose, the producer of the viral video Cue the Plan to Save the World, explains that WikiLeaks is compromised. The deep state took it over when Assange was extracted. It's just a zombie shell being operated by the cabal via remote control and has nothing to do with Julian anymore. And Joe explained his view of the Assange indictment with this tweet, which featured the New York Post article titled, "Julian Assange's indictment may cause trouble for Democrats." Joe writes, "His indictment is important and necessary. Discovery brings it all down. Assange is the star witness against the deep state. Just a few more pages of this screenplay before he gets to deliver his lines." Friends, you may recall the tweets from Kim.com earlier this year and last, in which Kim agreed to testify under oath to Robert Mueller about facts he has which prove that Seth Rich was the DNC email leaker. We already know that everything the deep state has accused President Trump of doing is actually what they themselves are guilty of having done. More on that in a moment. But my take on Joe Messapo's Assange theory is this. Assange's testimony will expose the crimes of many, many deep state criminal traitors, including those who ordered the assassination of DNC whistleblower and email leaker Seth Rich. Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, that means you. Friends, we are very quickly reaching the apex of this incredible drama. As former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino has described it, it is the biggest political scandal in U.S. history, involving Obama, Clinton, Mueller, the DNC, FBI, CIA, and even the UK and Australian governments.
Folks, this happened. This is the biggest scandal of our generation. There's no close second. This makes Watergate look like Romper Room.
No wonder the British MI6 is scrambling to stop President Trump from releasing the unredacted FISA documents, which would bring down the House. And by the way, I have never seen a more powerful, succinct summary of the deep state's criminal conspiracy to spy on then-candidate Trump and to concoct the Russiagate fable, and then panic when it all fell apart, than what Dan Bongino presented in this video.
It happened, folks. The President of the United States had the intelligence community and the law enforcement community of the United States at the highest levels weaponized against him.
I'll link it for you below, and I suggest you watch it immediately and share it widely. It is the truth that CNN and the Mockingbirds refused to report, and it's all detailed and annotated in Bongino's new book, Spygate, The Attempted Sabotage of Donald J. Trump. And one last important item. If the election fraud in the midterms, especially the overt criminality we witnessed in Broward County, Florida, Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district, didn't outrage you, then this tweet and article from NBC News on November 24th surely will. It's titled, "How Brenda Snipes and Other Black Election Workers Got Falsely Targeted by President Trump." Friends, it is on the record fact that Brenda Snipes destroyed ballots in the Democratic primary, a felony which prevented independent candidate and clear frontrunner Tim Canova from his constitutional right to inspect those ballots. It's now abundantly clear that Snipes and Democrats stole the election, handing the widely loathed Schultz her 8th term in Congress. If you want the facts that no one in the Mockingbird mainstream media will tell you, please watch this gripping jaw-dropper of an interview with the candidate that probably actually won that election in Florida's 23rd Congressional District, Tim Canova. It's on the Tracy Beanz YouTube channel.
I took a look at the numbers after we won the public records lawsuit for the ballots. Those who are identified as leaning to Wasserman Schultz and strong for Wasserman Schultz combined were 5,112. This was a closed Democratic primary. Those who were leaning to me, 8,000.
Wow.
Those strong for me, 13,000, and 14,000 undecideds. So if those numbers were accurate, that means Wasserman Schultz could have gotten every undecided voter and we were going to win.
Yeah.
It was like an insurrection all over this district. Of course, among Democrats. It was not a general election, but she had her hardcore, probably 5,000 Democrats that would go to the wall for her. But beyond that, I think her support was very thin and people want to change. I was being contacted by election experts from around the country. Lulu Freistadt, who's based in New York, an award-winning journalist, she and a couple of other statisticians had done something called the cumulative vote tally. They had done this for about a dozen, well, for many Bernie Sanders primaries against Hillary Clinton, where the exit polls showed Bernie winning and Bernie somehow lost. And when you do the cumulative vote analysis, it looks like the vote was flipped, as if it had been rigged by computer software. And they found the same pattern in my race.
As with the Dan Bongino presentation, I will link that video below. At this point in human history, friends, it is we the people versus the treacherous New World Order deep state. God bless you, one and all. Please like this video and spread it within your sphere of influence on social media. And for real news 24/7, visit us at sgtreport.com.
Unthinkable that a politician 50 years ago like Barack Obama would have at least 5 different Social Security numbers, which he did. And yet to question that, they smear you as a birther. And that was one of the things that Donald Trump first got in trouble about, because he did note that there were questions around his birth. But we can't even talk about that now, because they shout you down. And that's what the left does at this point. It's all about name calling and killing the messenger.